Leave it to me. I'll be very sarcastic.
But it's zoomed in when I... Okay, well, hopefully that'll work. Okay, so you all know that one of our school-wide goals is math, reading, development, and... Highlighted here for you. Yes. Staff retention. Yes. So for my Ed Certification Leadership Program, one of the things that I need to do is take some work that we're already doing, which you already know we're doing so much around staff retention, pull some data together, and go through a data analysis procedure with our team, because we're the ones that touch teachers all the time, and really see if there's any other strategies we should use and what the data is really telling us. So that's our goal. The data team is us, obviously, the admin team and the extended admin team. We engage the leadership team, also the grade level and department level chairs, to get feedback on the staff retention plan. And we also gave out the anonymous staff retention survey, and we have some feedback from that, which I haven't fully shared, but we have some trends surfacing from that. And to date, we have 98% staff retention. That's just kind of where we are in the team and the procedure. Yeah, you guys. Okay. So we needed to use 4 different types of data for the staff retention analysis. So one of the demographics, so I used the staff retention data from the charter, the total staff retention over the past 3 years, the teaching staff retention, and the teaching assistant staff retention. I also used perception data from our Georgia DOE, basically our CCRPI school climate data, that survey tab, I used that. And I pulled staff and student just to see if they were saying the same thing or different things. And then I also pulled some student learning data around 3rd through 5th grade ELA just to see if the staff retention was directly impacting the students. Like, we know that it does, but just to see how that might be affecting it. And then school processes to consider our hiring practices, how they've changed, our mentoring practices, and new staff orientation, which I know we did a great job with this year. So that's all the data that I used. I'm going to share with you all. So the first one is demographic data. This is our staff retention over the past 5 years out of 100%. And we can really pick any of these data sources, so maybe I'll just kind of overview them, and then you can pick which one we should dive more into. So that's total staff retention, teaching, operations staff, everybody. This is just teacher retention. So this, we know, was a lot lower last year, right, as opposed to that. It's a little different. And then this is teaching assistant retention. So several years where there was 190, you know, a lot of high numbers there, but still low this past year, as we know. Other data, this is our perception data for the staff survey that they do every year in the Georgia Health Survey. Yeah. So this is our scores the past 3 years. It looks like this is like 20 or something, but it's like the scale's only 75 to 80. Okay. So it looks really dramatic, but it was significantly lower last year. And this is our Georgia DOE student survey data. So how the students are responding to those 12 questions. So kind of a steady decline in the past 3 years. Again, the scale is a little misleading. Here's our ELA data. You guys know this by now probably, but this is the amount of kids at or above grade level, so a little inconsistent. Actually, it's kind of the opposite of retention data. There's kind of an upward trend and there was a downward trend there. 4th grade, you see the same thing, same kind of pattern. In 5th grade, you see the same thing, but the variation is real small. So that was interesting. So that's all my data. Which one of those interests you the most to dive into to do a quick protocol?
Do you want to do teacher retention?
Teacher retention data? Okay. So let's just start with what do you see?
Well, I noticed that in 2015, that was the highest amount of retention.
I see that 2016 and 2018, the retention was pretty much the same, it's about 70%.
And there are really only 2 years that we met the goal, our 80% goal. What does the data suggest, or what assumptions are we making, might we be making about this?
Well, the data suggests that in 2015, teachers may have been more likely to stay based around some factors.
When you say 2015, at what time in 2015 does this reflect? End of the year or beginning? August. So the beginning of the school year. So those who were there the beginning of the first day of school one year to the beginning of the year next year. Okay. So this would start in 2014, and
Exactly.
so for me, then it's telling me something about what happened the year before.
So the 2014-15 school year.
That something good was happening, so the teachers wanted to continue that, and they stayed.
That would have been the Edgar Miranda year.
I
Everybody
don't
was
know.
real happy that year.
Yeah.
From the folklore that I hear.
The data may suggest that we need to dig into more, if there are specific factors like health situations, people who may have left under a variety of circumstances. If you pull those particular numbers out, then truly who left that you can attribute to the school. If that makes sense. So what those numbers look differently if you pull those particular pieces out.
I also see a pattern of one year is high, the other is low, so it's almost, looking at that, I can predict that next year is going to be high, just looking at this pattern.
Yeah. Well, and is this similar data in other schools, that there is a back and forth, that the teachers come in, there's a high level of satisfaction, and then the second year kicks in, and then the satisfaction dips.
I think we see that with some other teachers who were here their first year last year. Like some of the longest years kind of, it was a little harder.
The honeymoon phase is over.
It also works in some ways. I don't know how long the principal who was in 2015, I don't know how long that principal stayed at ICS, but I'm thinking that was the first year of the principal, that's the second year, and I see a similar trend with the principal's first year and second year.
Yeah.
And it might suggest that a principal there for the second year is really putting their stamp, and then some people don't like what the stamp is.
We just made our stamp last year.
Okay, and then the last question is, what are the implications of this for teaching and for students?
It's hard to say, because what I see, even though we have lower staff retention, the quality of teachers we have this year is way higher than what we have at least since 2016, and I can only speak up till then. So it's a little misleading as well, because we can say, yes, a lot of teachers left, but also look at who we have in the building today, and the quality is just incomparable.
I think you would also compare, if you have a lot of teachers who are certified versus not certified, so it's kind of like apples and oranges. You're trying to compare that, and now that you'll have all these certified teachers, then the data will be more accurate.
That's a good point. Yeah, that was a big shift. So the next piece is kind of deciding what our focus question will be. I have some thoughts, because I know we've talked about this a lot already, so I'll share them with you, and then maybe you can give me some feedback. This is just kind of what I saw when I looked at it, and I'll add in the things that you've offered to me. But we found that ELA achievement and grades feedback has been consistent despite a focus on the Readers and Writers Workshop. The inconsistency is directly related to the large amount of staff turnover. Like, we tried things, but they couldn't stay because of the turnover. And just information, there are 53 total staff members in that first graph, 10 are teaching assistants and have higher staff retention and less turnover than the 36 teachers. And a dip in staff and student survey results in 2019 coincides with a dip in staff retention data, although student achievement data was increased. So it's kind of an inverse relationship. So it made me think, these are the questions that I brainstormed that I know we've been talking about a lot in our kind of like staff temperature checks, but based on our goal, these are some potential questions. What are the factors that lead teachers who stay year after year to stay? What are the factors that lead teachers to leave in high numbers year after year? And what strategies could the team employ to increase staff retention? Any other questions that you think we should add to that? I mean, those are pretty much the questions we've been asking. And then this is, I tried to consolidate some of the things that we've been doing already. So we've tried a new school we want to try a new school process with the peer observations. I know I haven't had a chance to deep review on the survey data, but Ollie and I checked in today, and one of the things that came out of that anonymous survey was peer observations. People want to do that all of a sudden. So try to turn our focus in the spring, because what happens with this project is then we try some stuff and we track the data in the spring. So that's one thing that we can try. Also just all of us being visible in the hallways and that openness. They talked a lot in the survey about that openness, and that access to us is really important to them. So just continuing to do that. And then continuing with the staff surveys quarterly. I think this year we really should do quarterly. I don't know how you all feel. Yeah, okay. And then meeting monthly to do a staff temperature check to see, our different buckets, who needs what kind of support. Anything else that you're curious about or that you think we should add to this?
I think we need to be consistent with, it doesn't always have to be us leading self-care, but insisting that the staff find ways of self-care.
And taking care of themselves. Yeah, especially this time of the year. I'm hearing a lot of things popping up. That's a great point. So then this is where to go. Over time, we'll analyze how the process of the staff temperature checks and how that impacts perception data and how it impacts our surveys. We'll analyze the ELA data, obviously, to see if stability, if we're able to achieve a stability, if it impacts student achievement, which we think it will. And then holding listening sessions for teachers to hear how, I know I spoke with you about that on the PD day, of listening to how would teachers want a peer observation system to look like, what would they envision, how could that be helpful to them, to increase collaboration. So that's kind of where we're going. So thank you all for your role in it.
Good.
Hope we can meet our goal.